Good evening, ladies and gentlemen.
Good evening.
Another day, another show by BW Hotelier. This is our 12th show of our newest series, the BW GM show. This also is the 4th show of the West, while it is the 12th overall. Coming week, we move down to the south with 2 episodes. Then we move into the eastern part of the country, going to the northeast, before we go back to the north. And we should soon be closing this series in a few weeks. This is an important show. The subject is extremely important for our industry. In times like these times are not hidden from any of us. How do we maximize revenue in times of lower occupancies? We are today missing one participant on the show, Digvijay. In keeping with the times, he's taken unwell and he's had to go off. We shall miss him, but the show, like they say, must go on. Permit me to begin the show today with an introduction of our esteemed speakers. Let us begin with Saurabh Dube. Saurabh Dube, bring on the slide, please. Who's bringing on the slide? Saurabh Dube is the general manager, Sheraton Grand Pune Bandh Garden Hotel. I shall give an introduction. And first, let me just speak out, or let me just speak about it. Driven by passion and a deep sense of originality, Saurabh is a demonstrated leader and has worked with some of the world-class luxury brands, including the St. Regis in Mumbai, the Leela Palaces, Hotels and Resorts, Sofitel Mumbai, Grand Hyatt Mumbai, and Renaissance Marriott Hotel and Convention Center to the list. He has a wealth of industry experience spanning over 17 years, and he started his career with the Oberoi Hotels and Resorts. Saurabh was conferred with the Sales and Marketing Manager of the Year by BW Hotelier Indian Hospitality Awards, the EHA 2020. Hello, Saurabh. All right. Let me move on to Sumit. Sumit Kumar is the General Manager of the Hyatt Pune in Kalyani Nagar. A seasoned hotelier with over 20 years of experience across India, Oman, and the UAE. He began his career with the opening of the iconic The Oberoi Amavilas in Agra. After a stint at the JW Marriott in Mumbai and the Chedi in Muscat, he joined the Grand Hyatt in Dubai. In 2012, after his successful training in the United States, he was selected to launch the first Hyatt Place brand as a general manager in India. Later, he opened the Hyatt Place Hotel in Gurgaon before moving to the Hyatt in Pune. Sumit is passionate about opening new hotels and renovating F&B outlets. Hello, Sumit. Shantanu Guha Roy. He is the general manager of the Radisson Blu Resort and Spa in Karjat. Karjat, for all the uninitiated, is where the big boss is shot. Shantanu is a seasoned hotelier with almost 3 decades of experience and has worked with renowned hospitality brands like the Taj, Intercontinental Group, and has been with the Carlson Residor Group, now the Radisson Hotel Group, since 2007. That's quite a long stint. Earlier at Radisson Blu Hotel in Ranchi, as its general manager, he played a key role in flipping the F&B revenue on a higher side and setting a landmark target on F&B revenues for the hotel. Shantanu believes in teamwork. Teamwork divides the task and multiplies the success, like he says. Next on the panel, Amit Mehta. Amit Mehta is the area director and general manager of the Surat Marriott Hotel, right? Imagine we have penetrated into Baroda, Ahmedabad, Surat. So we're going deep into tier 2 and tier 3. Amit is a seasoned hospitality professional with a rich experience of over 26 years, having spent more than 2 decades with the IHCL working for the iconic hotels like the Taj Mahal Palace in Mumbai, Taj Mahal New Delhi, Taj Bengal, Vivanta by Taj, Surajkund, and the Gateway Hotel Surat. He's been associated with Oro Hotels, India. They're headquartered in the US since 2019, spearheading business operations for Surat Marriott as area director and general manager. A fitness enthusiast and an avid reader, he's a firm believer of physical, mental, spiritual, and vital well-being. Next on the show is our friend Avinash Deshmock, an experienced general manager. He's the general manager of the ITC Welcome Hotel in Vadodara. He has a background of the F&B division. With 26 plus years of experience with ITC hotels, he's worked in 10 hotels across 7 cities and is skilled in hotel administration, revenue management, guest relationship management, F&B management, and handling of MICE and wedding business segments. He's been part of several openings and relaunches of F&B brands like the Royal Afghan and Dampuk, Jolly Nabobs at the ITC Windsor in Bangalore, the Peshori, Durance Bar, and Shanghai Club at the Welcome Hotel in Chennai. Welcome to the show, Avinash. Next on the show is our 6th speaker, Kaustubh Mukherjee. He's the regional general manager of the Pride Plaza in Ahmedabad. As the regional general manager, Kaustubh has geared up the Pride Hotels and Resorts Group expansion throughout Gujarat, Rajasthan, and is handling 13 hotels now. He's also heading the Pride Plaza in Ahmedabad as its general manager. A true hospitality professional with over 2 decades of experience in different leading national and international hotel brands, Kaustubh is a seasoned hotelier. Welcome to the show, Kaustubh. All right, without much ado, let us kickstart with this show. How do we maximize revenues in times of lower occupancies? This is a very vivid and wide subject which needs to be debated, needs to be talked, and the message needs to go. Let us share your learnings and let us take the message ahead. For any happening, successful and profitable hotel worth its salt, the big revenue drivers, to name the top few, are rooms, F&B, MICE, banquets, mind you, including weddings, and the parties. And of course, well-being and health, which includes spas, gymnasium, gaming, and the works. As has been, all these revenue streams have been severely and repeatedly crippled since February of 2020. Though things are getting better, just reducing costs, including fixed, aren't enough. It is the revenue that has to be upped and efforts must be made to get back to pre-lockdown levels. But that is a lot easier said than done. Good news is that the severity of the pandemic has come down and the breaks, if and where, are smaller and complete lockdowns are not the way anyone wants to walk again. The good news, for instance, today is RT-PCR for departures has been waived, right? That is a great beginning. And we are seeing the kind of reactions that are happening in some countries like Canada, New Zealand, and a few other countries where people want to break the shackles and get back to normalcy. Normalcy as we've known it. Nobody wants to be restricted. Nobody wants conditionalities, right? Yes, vaccination is important, but life has to go on. An important part, like me and Saurabh and all of us were discussing before the show started, has been about the missing greenback, big spending international traveler, the Gora. It, in my estimate, is the biggest loss for our industry, not just hospitality, for travel, tourism, and of course, for our F&B industry, which is a big draw. There is little hope of them coming back unless the world moves in tandem, opens up and assures the traveling Gora, be it business, leisure, or now as we call bleisure. We shall, over the show today, discuss a strategy that we can arrive at to advise the hospitality community so that they could maximize revenues in times of lower occupancy. So now that we've set the stage, let me begin with the first question with Saurabh. Saurabh Dube, the senior hotelier, needs no introduction. Saurabh, during these challenging times, different segments have emerged in the hospitality business. Do you see these segments tapering off once the pandemic is over, or do you see them growing further and becoming a new segment for hotels to work on? In other words, are these transitionary business opportunities, or are they here to stay in the post-COVID times? It'd be good to hear what you have to say. Present your case.
Okay. So first of all, Bhuvnesh, thank you so much for putting this show together and for, making such a stellar introduction for each one of us. We were quite flattered with that at the beginning, and a very warm welcome to all our viewers today. Well, coming to the question in hand, let's reflect for a moment on the last big recession that actually hit hospitality, during the global crisis of 2007, 2008. Unlike today, when there are actual restrictions on travel, and while there is will to travel, but there are conditions which don't allow you really to travel freely, the conditions then were very, very different. You actually had reduced travel spends, the so-called discretionary expenses actually had reduced. Well, then the industry adapted, and vacation rentals industry actually came into inception. Airbnb is a beautiful example of one big large global giant which actually was born during the last crisis, and is now kind of become an industry in itself. I mean, a lot of large hotel companies have actually now followed suit and gone into the same direction of getting into a vacation rental segment. The question here is, are there any new business segments or new business trends that we believe that have kind of emerged and are here to stay? Well, I would certainly believe so. The answer is yes. And a very compelling example would be the new trend of remote dining, or the so-called, simply put, the food delivery business, right? And a classic example is from my own company, Marriott, right? I mean, we launched MOW, Marriott on Wheels, 2 years back, which is now, of course, evolved to MBOW, as we call it, Marriott Business on Wheels, because the scope of that platform is kind of really diversified. Basically, it allows guests to order from their favorite Marriott restaurants, and you can actually enjoy them with the luxury of their own space. This segment alone contributed close to about 75 crores for our company in a down market in 2021. Now, cut to 2022, you would say, well, restrictions are eased, restaurants are open, people have a fatigue of being locked in, they want to go out and really enjoy socializing and dining out. And you probably would assume that maybe MBOW or the so-called remote dining segment perhaps is going to die a natural death. But guess what? We've had a great start to the year. And in fact, we are aiming to cross 100 crores this year. So it's almost a 25% growth over last year, right? Another example of a sustainable business segment that comes to my mind will be the media and the entertainment industry, especially the production houses, which really warmed up to hotels during COVID. Now, when we were all locked up in our houses, a lot of online data was being consumed, a lot of online content was being consumed, and production was not really able to meet up to the demand. Now, conventionally, this segment, feeds off studios or outdoor locations, domestic or international. But considering that they had to find ways, hotel was a great interim so-called option at that time. And of course, with restrictions, you also had to create bio bubbles. So hotels became a new partner for this industry. Now, you would again think that maybe, still since studios have opened up and locations are available, this segment may actually die for hotels. But we are certainly very confident and we believe that, there's a newfound love with this new segment for hotels. And I think this is a segment that most hotels will continue to nurture and grow. And, it will be a great contributor to our top lines as well.
I tend to agree, because opportunities would not have been created if we would have had our life going easy as it was.
Yeah.
It is only in the down and challenging times that we truly start thinking out of the box, right? When our backs are to the wall, do we start looking for escape routes? Do we start looking for solutions? Do we start looking for a hand to hold and get out of a tight spot? And a tight spot we have been in for long now.
Yeah.
Now think of it, 24 long months, which is almost 750 days today, right? It's not easy. Now the point is, we had wave one come, we thought we were out. Wave two demolished us, right? It took a heavy toll. And then we thought we were done with all this. And wave three hit us, though it was slightly merciful.
Yeah.
But the silver lining from all these three waves is that we have all gotten together and we've started thinking, right? And this has created, and sort of not just, Marriott on, what do you call that? Marriott on wheels, right?
MBOW, yes, Marriott on wheels. Yeah.
We've taken laundry outside, right?
Yeah.
Right. So we have gone out of our way, and of course, hybrid weddings are happening. We will come to that in a bit. So yes, I don't think any hotelier worth the salt would want to lose these opportunities, right? Let me come to you, Sumit. While the domestic traveler is the king, domestic traveler coming back and discovering India is another gain for the industry. He's not going to fill in for the metro's loss or for the missing big business traveler. How do we make him sticky is now the challenge, and have him stay longer, have him spend more, and have him keep coming back repeatedly. That is a challenge. What are your views, Sumit?
So, Bhuvnesh, I'll pick up from where what you were saying earlier is that in all three waves, we definitely saw a greater amount of business losses. But I want to put a perspective here is that if you look at it, when the first lockdown opened up, we almost took 2.5 to 3 months to bounce back. During the second lockdown, it came down to probably 4 to 6 weeks. And I'm pretty positive about the fact that at this time, the moment sentiments are already getting better, the business is going to come back very strong and very hard. So that definitely positive sentiments and some great business waiting for us ahead. I'm pretty positive about it. Coming back to what we're talking and saying that occupancies have gone down in past 6 to 8 weeks. But if you look at it, the last quarter of the previous calendar year, we all did great business, right? October, November, December was fantastic. And this was in the absence of a business traveler or so-called Goras. So until the international skies open up, we do see that we have to survive on this particular business itself. Two great words that we have learned in this pandemic is agility and adaptability. And I think we need to stick to this gun and keep moving ahead until the time we get our regular bread and butter back. Speaking about domestic travelers, I want to kind of highlight here that if you look at domestic travelers, there are also sub-segment to this particular piece of business. There are couples traveling, family traveling, extended family traveling, and then you have a pet parent. Their needs are very unique. I think the hotels who will be able to understand their unique needs, they definitely will get some brownie points. While the hotels are all trying to create experiences, there's something that's also very interesting for us to talk about. It is that now we have two different kind of profile of guests coming to the hotel. One who strongly believes in safety, wears masks, encourages other people to wear masks, and on the second hand, the other set of people who just doesn't care. It does increasingly become difficult for the hotel team members to manage this situation. But this is something that we are cognizant of, and we need to continue working around this particular situation. Coming back to what I was saying, experiences. So creating connections, creating experiences, creating differentiation in your hotel is definitely a way forward. We all know we are Indians. We do not like standard responses. We like variety. We only don't like beds and walls. So the hotels needs to be innovative to see that we keep them within the premises. And a point that I also want to highlight here is communicating what you have to offer. While we keep saying that content is king, here I want to add that distribution is queen. Who are your target market, whom you are attracting? One needs to be very clear on that. And how do you communicate and reach out to them? If social media is the way forward, then so be it. That brings me to a very important aspect of this whole piece is handling the moment of truth. That's what is going to make you a winner. How you manage their experience while they are in your property will bring advocacy and repeat business. If I put all this together, it also brings me to loyalty, right? What we're talking about, and loyalty definitely is a big great stickiness. Hyatt has World of Hyatt program, which is phenomenal because you earn points and in future you burn points. Whereas on food and beverage, we have another program called Hyatt Dining Club, which gives you an instant gratification. Having said all this, we all know that all our guests probably carries multiple loyalty cards in their wallets. So what is most interesting is to ensure that how you connect with them in one-on-one basis, how you create that emotional bond, how you care for them. That is going to really last longer in their mind and build that loyalty to come back to you again and again. That's my perspective, Bhunesh.
That's a good perspective. That's a good perspective. Now, domestic traveler is a must-have, must excite, must fan, and make him loyal, and have him fall in love with his country again. You know, since the 90s, after our economy opened up, and I mean, I remember early 90s, late 80s, we could not even get foreign exchange for travel overseas, right?
Absolutely.
I think, I don't know how many dollars we got. I remember there was a figure to it. I forget the number. Now that capping was removed, and international travel became cheaper, hotel stays became cheaper, flights became cheaper. So that started hurting the Indian hospitality and travel business, right? The adjacent countries like Thailand, Singapore, Dubai, they all had a whale of a time, right? Luring Indians away from India. It's time we did the reverse swing and lured Indians back from them. And we've done a pretty good job, aided by the last 2 years. That brings me to a man in Karjat. Who doesn't know Karjat? Karjat is the big one for weddings, right? And it's a good getaway for Mumbaikars. They either go to Karjat, they go to Lonavala, they go to Khandala, or they go to other places around. But let's come back to you, Shantanu. Tell me smaller wedding groups, but high on luxury experience with all the niceties and goodies thrown in. Will they fill for the loss of larger weddings? Is doing a hybrid model a workable model? Wedding ceremony and rituals at home, partying and stays and banquets in the hotel, guest stay, food, booze, and all that goes with the party. Does this help, or it is not a solution? Let's hear it from you.
Good evening, Mr. Bhuvnesh, and warm welcome and good evening to all my fellow panelists. First thing is that, as all we know, the wedding segment has taken a massive hit due to the COVID-19 pandemic. The big Indian fat wedding are out of the way right now and making way for the small and private gatherings of close family members and close friends, rather than hosting a lavish party with an unlimited number of persons. Like, initially when the pandemic was there, the government restrictions were for up to 50 people, and now, it is relaxed to 200 people, whether weddings are being there. So yes, the small weddings, they are, a good tool to replace the business that we have lost because of the large gatherings. And, we need to adapt, to the situation and think out of the box and how we could do the best in this trying times. So what we need to do is that we need to make the guests happy with all small gatherings. And we have to chef has to think out of the box, the F&B guys have to think is out of the box, and chef has to create a craft a elegant menu and menu for the guest as per the requirement. And then we need to plan sit down services which will give a flip to the revenue. Like, say for example, if we do a 500 packs revenue at 2,000 rupees, and here and in these small cases we do a 200 packs function, and of course the revenue we cannot demand is per packs 5,000 rupees. But yes, there are other ways also where we can maximize the revenue from these small functions. And other than that also, in case of small gatherings, if the hall has a partition, then we can partition the hall and we can take 2 weddings. So yes, the smaller weddings have been an option to mitigate the loss which we have faced due to the pandemic and the government bans on the larger weddings. As far as the hybrid model of model of wedding is concerned, yes, I think so. It is workable, because in hybrid in our wedding segments also, if we divide it. Like, say for example, the Christian weddings, normally it happens in the churches, the solemnization, and then they come to the hotel and do the toasting, and then they open up for the dinners. And similarly, even the Sikh weddings also, normally the Sikh wedding takes place in the gurdwaras, and then they come back to the hotel. So this model was always there. And now, where this hybrid model has also thrown an opportunity. Like in weddings, yes, we can say that, the fun, the frolic, the activities is there. And, we have got a plethora of pre and post rituals, which happens in terms of the weddings. So what we can do is that in terms of the small weddings, where the weddings are happening at the residences, and we can act as an event manager, the banquet salesperson and the event coordinator. They can coordinate better with the guests, and even the small functions of the wedding functions when it is happening at the residences, we can do the catering in there. So that opens up an opportunity for us. And of course, when the reception is there, where they're inviting all the guests, rest of the guests, the family, friends, the families and the friends, and all. So that is happening in the hotel. So in spite of giving a one, and when the function would have happened in the hotel, there was a series of events which have taken. But now the series of events has been broken down. So instead of having the entire event, if we go down to the houses and we can have a small high tea or even a lunch or a dinner when the wedding is happening based on the Muhurat timings. So that will give us an additional revenue. So yes, I strongly feel that hybrid model is a workable model, and the post-wedding, the functions, the receptions, and all that is as it is happening. So that revenue is secured, and this hybrid model has thrown an opportunity that we can go to the places, so the small places, maybe residences or the residences of the guests, and do a small catering and do the event management there, and even we can organize for their the vehicle movements and everything. So that there is an opportunity. There is an opportunity which we can encash upon. So that's what I got to say.
So tell me, are you seeing the comeback?
Yes, the comeback is there.
I mean, from the point of view of bookings and inquiries and.
Yes, in 2022, the number of the auspicious dates and the semi-auspicious dates is around 56. So out of which, January, February, the dates were around, 8 in January and February. So in the April, May, June, where the dates are high, and then again in November and December, we see, the weddings are coming back, and we are receiving quite a lot of inquiries, and it is being materialized also. The guests are also, whoever has postponed their weddings in January, we had 1 or 2 postponements. They are also booking it on the upcoming dates. So there is a thing that the larger wedding dates are coming back. But yes, the smaller weddings also has helped us to survive during these trying times.
So tell me, if I was to ask you, Shantanu, there must be some anxiety. When you're going through the low times, to attract business, have you dropped rates to make it more encouraging?
No, we have not dropped the rates because,
or you've added to the offering.
Yes, that's what we have done. We have given value for money. Right. And in fact, when we are doing the small weddings, because, we have to think about the costs also. The manpower cost is there, the HLP cost is there, everything is there. The food cost, yes, the food cost was slightly on a higher side. So we did not drop the rates, but, we had offered value for money, which the guests also understood. And, the functions materialized with us. And we did quite good in this segment.
See, if I can also just come in here, I'm sorry, I may take 30 seconds.
Please.
You brought in a very interesting question. You said for weddings, especially with the market conditions that we're in, did we have to drop rates? Now, see, what also very interestingly happened, and I'm sure everybody's privy to it, is the fact that in weddings is a massy affair. It's a crime in India that you have a wedding in the family and you miss out somebody, right? I mean, that's like the highest disrespect that you can probably show somebody socially. Considering that now there were restrictions on, or the cappings on weddings, your ability to spend on weddings all of a sudden became so much higher. Let's say if somebody had to be planning for a wedding for 500 people, now the government was saying, listen, you can't do it more than 100 people. Now all of a sudden, 5-star hotels, which probably was not a market for them, all of a sudden became viable, right? So actually wedding experiences actually got elevated, and for hotels, a new market emerged. So I think
I must tell you, Saurabh, I mean, I'm privy to this. I know so many families and middle-class families like ours, they made the most of this downtime by holding weddings of their children, right? Yeah. Smaller groups, let the menu be big. Right? In fact, they laid it out lavish, right? Yeah. Because the numbers have shrunk from a typical North Indian weddings is upwards of 500 guests per side, right?
Yeah.
So now that the numbers had shrunk to 50 a side, they said just lay it out thick and let it happen.
Make it large. Yeah.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. In fact, we had also got last moment wedding requests when we lost hope that those dates will go empty. But we got wedding requests and we got multiples. If our hall is divided into 3 parts, middle part we kept it vacant, and the first part and third part we took 2 weddings.
True.
So that's how it has gone. So it was the smaller weddings, yes. It was
thank you so much. Let me now move to our friend from Surat, right? Amit Mehta. Gujarati weddings are just a shade away from a good Punjabi wedding, right? They spend big. When big is actually small. Big fat Indian weddings and MICE that gave a hotel's revenue a royal miss. What is the way out? And when do you see them coming back? We saw them come back after the second wave. And then now Omicron-led third wave has done them in again. What is your view, Amit? And what are the earliest signs of a comeback that you see? And how do you see the future?
Thank you, Bhuvnesh. And I'm so glad to be part of this discussion.
Pleasure is ours.
I call this segment the Moderators, the MICE and the weddings, because see, 3 good days of wedding or a couple of good conferences, suddenly your books turn from red to green. So I think it's a huge segment. We are talking about a segment which is almost about 5 lakh crores in terms of the business potential. And the wedding itself is above 4 lakh crores, and the MICE segment is another 45-50,000 crores. So I think it's a huge segment that we are talking about, which was really the most impacted during this pandemic. Confused, unsure, panicky. I think that's what we all were as hoteliers and as Indian families, because every 15 days there was change in the way the government was giving away the notifications of the way we need to do our weddings, the way we need to do our exhibitions, or the way we need to control our crowd. So there was a lot of situation which was not very conducive to this business. And the big fat Indian wedding took a huge beating. But still as Shantanu said, that there was still a silver line, because we could really do some nice, intimate, curated weddings where we had that level of business coming in. But I think MICE was totally gone. With this digital thing coming in, I think MICE will take a long time to come back, because it never got an opportunity to really come back to the hotels. Because that's one segment that really...
Tell me, do you see the corporates rethinking about on-ground events and large gatherings, and by virtue of that, saving money and clipping budgets?
See, Bhuvnesh, we need to dovetail this with how a corporate thinks. A corporate thinks of a conference not only as an opportunity to showcase and tell your people what they are doing, but it is also an opportunity to really meet and network. And that is something that will need to come back.
So,
I don't think
what is your solution? How do we get it back? Get weddings, get MICE, get them all back. What do we do?
Can I
Shantanu, 1 minute. Let Amit, let me just ask Amit. Amit, how do we get them back? Because you see, now the third wave has been the fastest to go away.
Absolutely, it's weaning off.
Right? It's already gone as far as I...
Yeah, it's already gone. It's already gone.
So it's already gone. I have myself and my entire family have been positive during the third wave.
Correct.
It was like a normal flu.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Right? So
absolutely.
Now this is an ideal case. This is like what you have in the West, holidays. So, and typically, so we've come through that, and now I think we've got to run fast and we've got to hit the ground running, like they say.
Oh, yes,
What
absolutely.
is the solution? How do we do it?
I'll tell you, if you, just to come back to the weddings, if you see the way the Omicron came in and the Delta came in between, we had a time when the weddings had already started coming back. And if you see, November and December were fantastic months for the hotel industry. We really did well in the wedding segment. And January and the first quarter of this year.
How do we get it back?
Yeah. So this segment is something that we were very optimistic. And going forward, I think the wedding segment is something that will come back very fast. We're looking at, as Shantanu said, we have about 56 Muhurat days that are happening in this year. And also what is happening is there is a big section of the Indian segment which has already started moving to non-auspicious dates also. They are ready to do weddings in dates which are conducive to them, whether it's a holiday, whether it's a weekend, or whether they feel that they get a best price in the hotel because it's a non-busy period for the hotel.
You know, I must tell you, Amit and all my colleagues over here on the show, what some families are doing, they conduct the rituals based on an auspicious day at home.
Yes,
right?
I was coming to that.
And they come with a boomerang for a large party.
Absolutely.
During the off days. Tell me.
So again, coming back to the MICE segment, because I think that's an area which has been really tough in terms of all of us. So that's an area that we need to really focus on. We need to really create some very, very good options for people to come and do MICE business with us. And exhibitions are something which is the easiest to come back, because exhibitions is something where you are showcasing your event and your product. So exhibitions is an area which is the easy and, as you call it, the low hanging fruit. So that's one segment that has already started. We've started getting queries in this side of the country. And that is one area that really will pick up the fastest. So that's one segment that we need to focus on. Corporates are something that will take a little longer to come in terms of the conferences, but that's an area where we have to make it very interesting for them. We have to make it like a networking evening, or all those aspects of things have to start coming in.
That's an excellent view. Amit, thank you so much. Now let me just move to our good friend Avinash. Avinash, tell me the other big development over the last 2 months, you know, is all about upcountry and homestay rates. They have not just exceeded 2019 exits, they've cut through the ceiling with rates and occupancy. Is that good? Or is that bad news for the large investment international and domestic branded hotels? Is there a case for established brands starting their own homestay brands? Some have already taken the first steps, in my view, right? We all know them, right? ITC has, Taj has, right? What are your views, Avinash?
Thank you, Bhuvnesh, and a warm welcome to all the participants and viewers who've logged in today. As you've rightly said, the trend is, I think, very much here and will only get stronger as we see it playing out. Just to go back one step, the lockdowns really, what did they do? They created a lock-in, and then people were desperate to sort of go out and get out once the easing up happened and the restrictions were eased off. So there was a huge desire to move out and travel at the earliest opportunity. Driving holidays were the most doable thing, and therefore driving holidays became the norm. You looked at destinations close to your city, and you looked at options there, and you made a move to reach those locations. Clearly, the driving destinations around large cities like Delhi and Mumbai and Bangalore and so on became the new hotspots. Places like Mussoorie and Shimla, and then further up north in Chail and so on, where we're doing a much greater business than they were doing even pre the pandemic. So I think some of the hotels there, and especially in our case with the Welcome Hotels in Shimla and in Mussoorie, the Savoy in Mussoorie, which is a 100-year-old hotel, has done business far higher than it has ever done in its entire 100-year history. So that's the kind of traction that these upcountry locations, which were in some cases, known, destinations for holidays, like the hill stations, but also the others around them, scenic spots, not so broadly explored earlier. But because you had the well-known hotels filling up, people were moving out and looking for new options, and newer, options got created and thrown up. So I know of a traveler. I used to be in Jodhpur in the first part of the pandemic, and I know of somebody a guest who I met at the hotel, was driving down from Delhi, had taken his car, got into his, packed in a few things and driven down to Jodhpur, spent about 6-7 days there, was, online as far as his work was concerned, because he could just log in and continue working. And then, he told me he was checking out, and I said, where are you heading back? Are you going back to Delhi? He says, no, I've had about 6 days in Jodhpur, and I've had my stay, and I've looked around as well, and I've managed to continue my work. I'll just move to Jaisalmer now because something there interests me. So he had booked online and then got into his car and traveled to Jaisalmer. And then his plan was to stay there for a few days and then move on to the next destination, possibly Bikaner or something else, right? So I think these are the kind of options that people have had, and they have emerged because technology has played a good part and a big part, as we all know. The reasons have been fairly easy to see, that the cleaner air, the relatively pollution-free ambience that the destinations, up country offer,
and also the flexibility.
Correct. The perception is that they are healthier, they are easier to sort of.
But also, Avinash, in the same breath, please remember, earlier a typical official travel would be 2 days, 3 days, 4 days, maximum 5, and you'd land Monday and come back Friday night, right?
That's right.
Now the stays are longer.
Absolutely.
When even it is personal, people are, of course, what are staycations? What are homestays? I mean, staycations are, of course, people are ready to work from everywhere. I haven't seen my office in months.
Correct. I think that's the huge difference that technology has played a part in creating.
And let me tell you, Google is not opening till July.
Wow.
Right? So you have a case where you're omnipresent, you can work from anywhere. Bandwidth is good.
Absolutely. That's all you need.
How do we get these long stay guests? Affording our kind of rates is not easy for long stays.
No, that's true. But hotels have played it smartly here, is what I would say, because they've understood the nature of travel. So if the length of stay is looking longer, then they've quickly offered packages and
there has to be, Avinash, and this is to all my colleagues here. Let us also think of segmenting each location. Of course, life is going to come back. True. But here now, for instance, if you were to see the Pullman in AeroCity, you've got a hotel, you've got residences, so on and so forth in all large hotels, right? So is there a case where we have the hotel here and for long stays, we have another set of offering, but within another wing of the hotel?
Absolutely. To give an example of my own company, the ITC Royal Bengal in Calcutta and the ITC Grand Chola in Chennai are huge hotels, huge assets, 600 plus rooms, where they've got about 500 rooms for the regular business clientele and the leisure clientele. And they've got a set of 100 service apartments, which are just a shade larger than the regular hotel rooms, about 500 to 600 square feet of space, but with a built-in facility for a small kitchenette and, in some cases, a laundry facility as well. So this offers a great opportunity for somebody who's looking at a longer stay for maybe 15 days plus, to not get tied in by the size of the room, and is able to enjoy all the facilities, because you've got laundry on call, you've got room service on call, and everything else available to you, like a
Excellent. Hotel. So that's good. Thank you, Avinash, for this interesting view. Yes, the future is bright. We're all thinking. We're all charged up. We're all putting our heads together. Let me now go to Kaustav Mukherjee. Kaustav, fine dining, coffee shops, and in-room dining were a big draw revenue driver. And we lost them in the madness of lockdowns and scares. More than lockdowns, I will call them scares. They have to restart and draw their clientele back, or take their offerings to the customer. You know, as youngsters, we didn't have pocket money, so we were very frugal on our budgets. We used to hit the Machan at the Taj. We used to call it the Taj Mansingh. Of course, the Taj Mahal, as they call it, on Mansingh Road. And we used to share our Kona coffee, our burgers, or we used to hit the tabela at the Oberoi's then, right? Of course, beer for the beer drinkers and coffee for me, right? But the sheer fun of being there, that ambience, that's all. That had all gone away. I will not say that had. What are your views? How do we get? Because these are food, F&B, fine dining, are large draws and large revenue drivers. Your views, Kaustubh?
Well, thank you, Avinash. Thank you, all viewers and speakers in the platform. I have been to your point, Avinash. I think I'm agreed, and we all have been experiencing the same thing. We have seen the worst days, we have seen the bad days, and maybe it's a better days I will call for, because I think the things was from worst, bad to better. Now what we are experiencing, the things are coming back to normal. However, there is a gap between pre-COVID and post-COVID till now. Now, if you see at premises and off-premises restaurants, there are restaurants in upper upscale hotel or upscale hotels, and the premises restaurants are not doing that well how off-premises hotels or QSs are doing. Look at the Starbucks, look at the KFC, Pizza Hut, how they're doing business. Even the Cafe Day, which we didn't thought of that this will revive, but it is revived and it is growing. The Starbucks, if you think, it is almost 12% or 14% jump the digital sale from the past pre-COVID level. So there is a change. We had a mindset, we had a thought process, conventional thought process of specialty restaurants, specialty dining, coffee shop, in-room dining. But I think it's a time when we need to rethink about our offerings in all the way, because last 2.5 years, people got used to see the different kind of offerings, the different kind of promotions, digital way of menu analyzing, on viewing of the menu in the digitally, paying digitally, and ordering digitally. So we all need to think that way so that we can somehow meet the customer's need, want, and demand. I would say that if you see that this time also the budget of Union budget, how it has been made of 2,400 crores has been fixed up for the tourism industry, and a lot of new things has come up, ECLGS and all this thing, which is very supportive. And being a hospitality entrepreneur, I like to support that and welcome these things, and which is somewhere here or there, it is supporting our business. Now look at the business or what we have in the premises of the hotel. What I think that we should go more into the loyalty. We need to be with the loyal guest. Now, how we'll catch up the loyal guest? We need to have that conventional way of loyalty cards. But yes, this time it is not the card which the guest used to take out and show that I'm a Sheraton member or I'm a Marriott member. Instead of that, they might be having in the mobile and showing the QR codes of that and getting the points. So that can be a revolution in the industry, which we never thought of, seen it in past. Beside this, like Marriott on Wheels, Cumin, Taj, and such kind of things has come up. Now, if we talk about the regular hotels, there are the food delivery platform has become strong now. There are different food delivery mediums like Zomato, Swiggy, and all these things. These are pretty much available where you don't need to give a fixed cost. And even if you are losing 10 or 20% on that, but still it is giving you the required sale amount, and you have the option to come up with the quick meal menu or a yield based menu pricing and the portion size. Now, only thing is that initially and conventionally, we always think of concept. Now, the moment we talk about the concept, we always compete with the other hotel restaurants. Now it's the time to compete with the single standard restaurants and the QSR also for the coffee shops. Because the moment food delivery comes, they have the options to pick up from a 5-star hotel or upper upscale hotel, or pick up food from a cafe day or Pizza Hut also. A pizza, we have seen all the kind of rush in any pizza outlets outside.
My friend, I have seen guests order pizzas and coffee from outside in their hotel rooms. Yes. I think that is something to really look at and reconsider. Do we allow them?
Yes.
How far much is freedom for a customer? We should not, right? Because that's really that's not good. That's not fair. All right. Now let me go back to our good friend Saurabh.
Yes.
Saurabh, let me shoot this question at my friend from Delhi, right? Another matter that you've been out 18 years now, but once a Delhiite, always a Delhiite, right? The advent of the pandemic has pushed us into the lap of the digital world. Or should we say pushed us with technology drivers to aid business to bring in new streams of revenue, which is a huge positive, rather than lean on the so-called analog efforts, right? What is your view? There's no going back, of course. There's no going back. It's only going to become smarter, right? Let me tell you today, if you order for your LPG gas cylinder, right, or anything, I mean, it's all cashless, right? Technology has penetrated so further down into every household, and not just the prima donna households. They've gone below the middle class, right? We are the typical middle class.
Yeah. No, I mean, for me to answer that that question, I think I'll draw an analogy from hotels, okay? Because I guess that's a subject I'm most comfortable talking.
Please,
right? Please. I mean, we'll all agree. Broadly, we cater to two consumer sets. There's this one who's like an essential traveler. For him or her, it's about traveling to a new destination. You need a roof, a bed, a safe environment, and hygienic food. And then there is this whole aspirational traveler. Somebody who's looking beyond just a roof and a bed, right? However, interestingly, what is binding thread amongst the two is the fact that, at least in India, you could say that there's a lot of emphasis on personal touch, human to human interaction, warm Indian hospitality, as we call it, right? Now, pre-COVID, while hotels were still adopting digitalization, during COVID, it sort of became imperative, a need of the hour, and it really accelerated multifolds in the last 2 years. The new buzzword in our industry, as we call it, is touchless tech, touchless technology, right? And some of the new trends that you see in hospitality and hotels is, that how hotels are now really trying to drive direct retail business, cutting the intermediaries, giving customers a great seamless experience, going directly on brand.com or e-channel partners. All marketing strategies, spends are being built to drive basically customers come direct and through mobile apps, right? And come on, look at these apps today. These are, these are phenomenal, apps. These not only allow you to search and surf, but you could practically book a room. You can access a room through a digital key. You can engage with the hotel teams even before you arrive to the hotel. You can discuss personalization, preferences, special requests, even order room service without any physical interaction whatsoever, right? I mean, our very own Marriott Bonvoy app allows you to do that, right?
Yeah.
Another example that comes to my mind, is this huge surge of, the QR codes, right? The quick response code has become like a household name. I mean, I've been a career marketer for almost 10 years. And I mean, if you personally ask me, I hated QR codes. You know, for me, they looked ugly, they looked clunky, and they looked like an effort which didn't require too much of effort, right? It takes effort to make and curate beautiful menus. It takes efforts to create that story. And now you have something which you simply flash a mobile phone to, and you know what? It just opens up a new world, right? But I mean, let's face it. I mean, we had to adopt it. So much so that it's even the government, to an extent, adopted QR codes. They took it. They made it part of their whole vaccination drives and vaccination statuses, right? Another trend that comes to my mind is this whole concept of digital voice assistants. I mean, today, who's practically not familiar or using either Alexa or Siri or any Google aided assistant, right? I mean, it's only natural that our consumers or our customers, when they're using it in their personal life and when they travel, you know, I mean, these habits will continue and they will expect to use those same habits in hotels as well. And hence, you know, we're trying to adopt this tech also for our guests to order room service, you know, operate TV channels all through voice command, right? So the bottom line is you know, Bowie, digitalization and tech is here to stay.
Oh,
you know,
absolutely. It's
sooner
not
and
going
better
away.
we embrace it, better for our business, because the bottom line is customers want it and it drives guest experiences. So why not?
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to embrace it. Do that at your own peril.
Absolutely.
Right.
Absolutely.
So,
Yeah.
and let me tell you, more is coming. It's going to become simplified. Right.
Yeah.
And of course, this whole thing about the social media, which is also part of the digital world. So,
yeah.
Right.
I think one moment here. I think the social media plays a real game here, because it's a time for all restaurants of a hotel should have their own social media account. And
only the ones who are dead here will not. Everybody has them. They all have their handles.
Yes.
Yeah. So let me now come back to my good friend again in Pune, Shumit. Shumit, coming from me, who's a teetotaler, let's get down to the subject of bars and lounges, booze. Like this, booze is not just such a huge puller. It is also very sticky. Sticky for making repeated comebacks and letting a guest sit longer, a guest consume more. It attracts large groups. It attracts drinking partners. And yes, the ticket spend is very big, is rather big, right? And of course, it's also very good for the government's tax coffers, right? And of course, for the brands, they have huge margins. And for the media and advertisers, they spend, of course, surrogate advertising. But booze is there to stay. My friends from Gujarat will excuse me, right? But
Thank you, Bhuvnesh.
Yeah, but let's talk booze, Sumit, and Pune is pretty good with it.
Yeah, thank you, Bhuvnesh, for the question. Before I actually jump in here on to this question, Bhuvnesh, if you give me a permission for 2 minutes, I wanted to go back to my
2 minutes
friend.
बहुत होता है. Seconds की बात करो.
45 seconds. To my friends in Gujarat, and we were earlier talking about what should we do with MICE, and we talked about that it's coming back, and then we jumped into weddings, and we said there's a lot of wedding coming ahead. I just wanted to kind of put a point here to say that we will see, we have limited number of banqueting space in all our hotels, right? Not many hotels have multiple event spaces. Now, what we're going to see now in India is in next coming months is that there will be a large pent-up demand that's going to come up. Now, in rooms, we continuously talk about revenue management, but in events and banqueting space, probably that's not the situation as often. So I think it's high time that when we know that we have an opportunity to only do limited number of people and the demand is very high, maybe there should be a thought process that I wanted to kind of put in here in this forum, that we should start looking at revenue management on that. The dates are limited. if you can capitalize maximum on those number of days, it will only benefit the hotel and helps us generate some additional revenue through higher APCs. All right. So Bhuvnesh, I took my 45 seconds. Now
you said 25, but then I'll go with you. I'm coming to Pune, so I'll more than make up for the 25.
Certainly. So coming back to your question, Bhuvnesh, I think the answer to this question is in the question itself, right? I mean, we do know that bars and lounges are an important part of hotels. You know, I mean, if you say F&B is a heart of a hotel, then bar and lounges are the heartbeat. So also the stats says that India is the third largest hotel market globally, which is huge. The average time that we spend in the bar is probably higher than the time that we spend in the restaurant. In today's scenario, I mean, I can say that for some hotels, the average beverage check or average check in the bar would be probably higher than the ADR of the hotel. So it is certainly an area that needs attention, that needs focus, and we can put in our effort there and maximize that opportunity. Having said that, I still think that we have an opportunity. How do we manage our bars, especially in five-star hotels? Today, the generation is not really looking for just coming there to drink, and thus cannot be a crowd puller from an outlet itself. It's just the way it's packaged, the way it is priced, and the way it is sold. Bars are also a huge entertainment center. It's an opportunity for you to showcase. It's all about showmanship, the cocktails, the bartenders, the juggling, the flaring. And I think
tell me hand on heart, how do you guys manage that deal? What deal do you give it?
Happy hours?
Happy hours. How do you do that? Where are the margins? How do you make it up?
That's the industry secret I will tell you when you come to Pune.
But मैं तो नींबू पानी पीऊंगा ना.
I will join with you and share that.
This calls for an offline conversation, gentlemen.
Yeah. Thank you, Sumit. Yes, of course.
Okay. So, sorry, Bobby. I'm saying something.
Go ahead. Please go ahead.
So like I was sharing that, bars are all entertainment centers, and it's important that that we take it very, very seriously. I mean, as food and drinks probably is an integral part of a bar, channel music or a live band could also play a huge role. Imagine if you're meeting an old friend, you would not like to go to a place which has loud music because you want to spend time and talking with the person. But if you just want to let your hair down with your colleagues, you rather will go to such kind of place. And these are the things that one needs to think before planning bars. Drinking age in India, in most of the states are 18 and some states are 21. And then one can keep drinking till their last breath. So there is definitely a market for everybody. And we need to just be aware about the fact that we need to understand our target audience. Whom are we catering to? And sometimes, and we should strictly go behind them. Because sometimes in order to please everybody, we will lose our USP and then it dies a natural death. So it is important to understand who is the target audience, go behind them aggressively, and do not lose your positioning. All of us remember how in 2018, the alcohol ban happened, right? Next to the highway, restaurants and bars were not allowed to serve alcohol. And how innovative it became that time, right?
Okay, I shall have to time this now because we're out of time. And I have three more questions to slip in. But yes, also responsible drinking, right? I mean, we can start casting a vote at 18, but somewhere I heard you say 21 is when you can start drinking. But yes, responsible drinking has to be done in the peer group with advice, right? And of course, when they come to you, you people should also encourage and pick up the tipplers early. Now, let me go back to my good friend, Shantanu. Shantanu, dada kote hai. So what more can be done to up revenue and chip away at the losses? Any new idea? Is catering at homes and outdoor parties a sustainable, workable and new revenue stream? Briefly, Just take 2 minutes.
Okay, thank you for the question. Outdoor catering is is an area where we need to focus, because what we can do is that nowadays the celebration at home package is also on the flip. So what we can do is that we can derive thematic food delivery packages and deliver it at the home, and we can have a butler service done in the home also for the VVIPs who are attending the functions. So that is there. And as far as the other new ideas. Yes, we have also developed certain new ideas. That is, we have done this co-work space rental policy, wherein we had a good tea coffee setup and high-speed internet services, and then video conferencing facilities, which has given a good flip to the revenue in the trying times. Other than that, also we have diversified as the RNG as a group. That we have launched the Mehta by Radisson, which is doing very good. So during because all the sweets are being prepared in a very hygienic way and as per the maintained as per the SOP and the brand standards. So that's a good thing that we have launched in the company. So that's another thing. And then once the pandemic is over, and the thing is that we have also take a chef home concept, wherein the chef goes down to the residences and they do sessions with the household ladies and they cook the food.
Not just carrying the food, they should carry the brand experience, right?
Yes, true.
What is more important? Why would somebody not go to a local Gupta ji to do his catering, right? Or a Sabarwal or whoever you have? Why would he go to a Radisson, a Sheraton, or a Pride, or a Marriott? Why would he ask them? Because he wants top drawer experience for his guests.
Yes,
right?
true.
They want that brand experience, right? And let me tell you, mom and pop caterers are doing a fantastic job, right? Their experience is very good. So you have a challenge of bettering it on them. So, okay, now let me just rush. As you see, I'm a little rushed. Yeah. Shantanu, thank you. Sorry. Now,
thank you.
Let me now go to my good friend Amit with his second question. Amit, well-being and health, right? You just told me you're into fitness, you're into all that, which is quite the opposite of what I am into, right? Spas, gymnasiums, and gaming. When health is a worry, but gyms are closed or restricted, how can we go online one-on-one? जैसे आजकल ये चल रहा है ना, तो online gymming चल रही है, online yoga classes, right? Or in groups. And once we open, making gymming affordable and bring back those guests and all the numbers, right? What is your say? Is it workable or is it just figment of my imagination?
Avinash, you first need to consider I'm in Gujarat, so my evenings go in the fitness center only.
Yeah.
I think you picked up the sectors for me which were the worst impacted. I think the fitness center and the well-being has been worst impacted during the COVID. And if you look at this, I still feel there's a silver lining, because what this pandemic has done to people is that it has really made fitness and well-being a very important part. And when the traveling becomes full-fledged, this is there to be there always. People will not stop this from going away in their lifestyle now, because they have started incorporating that. So as hotels, it's very important that we focus now on showcasing something which is very important for not only fitness in terms of the physical well-being, but also emotional and mental well-being. So I think it's a combination of a lot of things that we can do as hotels. We have to look at a whole body approach today. We have to look at yoga as another important segment that is really picking up. We need to look at breathing exercises, which is something that a lot of people have moved to in the last 24 months. Also, what we need to do is that we have to customize the fitness for people in the mode of communication that they are very comfortable with. Whether it's online, whether it's offline. We'll have to really dovetail it in a beautiful way so that somebody who wants to do it online, we have something for them. And if somebody wants to do it offline, we have a very safe and secure environment whether it's plexiglasses between the treadmills, or there is something else that we do for people to really come into our gyms and are comfortable doing that. So that's one area that really is something that we need to do. Also, I think there is one area that keeps troubling me is that I think at the start of the pandemic, there was a lot of talk that happened about how we as human race have exploited Mother Earth and nature. So I think it is really important for us that reparation is something that comes as part of our communication in health, wellness, and well-being. Reparation, by reparation, I mean is making amends to what we've done in the past. So I think this needs to really come in, and we as hotels should be able to showcase that in a creative way when we are trying to showcase our spas, whether it's health clubs or any other aspect of this area. Affordable pricing has always been the big draw, I feel. We always say, price drop kar do, you'll start getting the customers. But I think customers today have become very conscious about meaningful experiences. They want to get something which is more meaningful to them and authenticity to the whole thing. So I think we need to dovetail everything around that. And mental well-being and emotional well-being has to be the pivot on which we need to develop this aspect of our business, because it's got a huge potential. It's a segment that has huge potential. We are nowhere. We are only 400 billion today compared to the 60 billion, which is the wellness industry in the world today. And maximum of us are still focused down south, except for few like the Anandas up north. So I think this is an area which has huge potential. If we are more creative, if we focus on the full well-being of human being, I think it's got a huge potential to really develop. That's what I feel.
Excellent. Gone in our days when, of course, we didn't even have gyms on the high streets, right? Or at best, they started happening in clubs, right?
Yeah.
All that was done was PT, as physical education was called, right?
Absolutely.
Right? Or if you got unlucky, you were in the NCC.
Absolutely.
But today, yes, people are taking it very seriously, right? So yes, and of course, 5 stars are now no more 5 stars for the generation that is there now. So 5 stars are essential parts of their life. So it augurs well for our industry. Now let me go back to my good friend Costa before I come back for the last one with Avinash. Costa, not all hotels allow expos and exhibitions. And given the new normal, even though they are good revenue drivers, they may not come back soon, right? They're allowing everything, but then these large hotspots where you have large and dense crowds may not be encouraged. Yes or no? And what is your view on this? Give us a feel.
Of course, I would start with the yes. And of course, I'd like to mention that when we talk in MICE in our industry, the last E stands for exhibitions. So without exhibitions and expo, we can't think the hotel can run. And of course, there are different types of hotels. Like, today when you make the hotel, we have the banquet separate entry and the hotel separate entry. So therefore, yes. So therefore, the hotel is having a separate entry for banqueting. It can take the exhibitions, expose well, because it immediately drives the revenue. Even though if you think of the government is also promoting the expo and events, like for the Vibrant Gujarat, like for the Defense Expo in Gujarat, which is almost the whole city is packed and people selling the room instead of 5,000, they're selling 25,000 a room, same room. So it is because of what? It is because of the expo. So this expo is majorly driving the revenue, bringing the economy in the right track. So we should also follow the same way, and we should support it to take the expo and exhibitions for the hotels, depending on how your AI or artificial intelligence in the hotels to work with, to look at the type of customers, customer safeties, guest safeties, and health and hygiene maintaining.
True that. Not all hotels allow exhibitions and expose, but a whole lot of them do, like the Ashoka in Delhi or the Grand in Delhi or the Sahara Star. But it's a necessary evil. It's a very important stream of revenue, right? And a whole lot of dreams are built upon them. And not just your dreams, dreams of the brands who go and participate there.
Umesh, I'd like to just come in here. What we've seen, especially in tier 2 and tier 3 cities, is there's a lot of garment exhibitions that have started popping in. And it's started becoming a huge segment today.
My friend, the biggest deaf expo is going to happen in Gandhinagar very soon.
Yes. And the entire fiscal year and the month is sold out because of this. From start to 15th, almost no hotels having any rooms in Ahmedabad and Gandhinagar.
देखो और क्या चाहिए, एक event हो जाए आपके साल के revenue.
So we can't think without the expo.
So let me go to my dear friend Avinash, a proud son of a Air Force officer, not just filling in for the loss of the just discussed missing revenue streams of rooms, F&B, MICE and banquets. How and what has the pandemic taught us about thinking out of the box? For example, fine dining experience at home via express hotel branded food delivery, premium and upper crust laundry services, etc. They may not fill for the loss of revenue, but will be a revenue stream nonetheless. Yes or no? What are your views, Avinash?
I think that's a big yes. Very quickly in the second month or the third month of the pandemic, I think we realized that if the guests can't come to your restaurant, then the restaurant can go to the guests, in their houses. So that was the, I think, inspiration for the takeaway and delivery, segment. And it has, the good thing is that it has progressed really far from the early days, where today we have delivery options and takeaway options across, of course, all hotels. And each one is, I think, trying to outdo the other in terms of the offering that they are coming up with. ITC hotels, for example, launched the gourmet couch, which is the takeaway and delivery, segment that we work on. So we had all our signature items coming out and featuring on the menus. You could have Bukhara, being taken away and then brought into your house. You could have
there it is.
Absolutely, yes. The gourmet couch is well represented there. Good to see that. The famous Dampuk biryanis were available to order and bring into your house. The kakori kebab, etc., could come into your house. So this was something I think which was a huge revelation and also very sustainable revelation that came about. And to add to that, as was mentioned earlier by Saurabh, the technology has played a huge part. Today we have an ITC Hotels app where with one app you can actually make room reservations, you can order takeaway and delivery, you can check on your loyalty program, updates and so on, and you can make table reservations as well. So this is one app which kind of takes care of the entire spectrum of requirements that a customer has or a guest has. So this is really something that has become a very strong and sustainable option. The other one that was also mentioned briefly was the laundry services option. I think the hotel segment that we all represent, the laundries operate at a huge level of expertise. The hygiene and disinfection standards are very, very high. And in the current pandemic situation, I think safety and hygiene was a huge factor for everybody. So some of our major hotels in the cities have the lavanderia services where somebody can actually come into the lobby, exchange or given their clothes which are to be dry cleaned or to be laundered, and can collect them back from the lobby. So the exchange process is very simple. It's very guest friendly, and it has worked. So there are, I think, centers in Delhi and in Bombay and Calcutta where the laundry services are very well received. Although it has not maybe moved to the tier 2 cities in such a big way. But certainly in the tier 1 cities, in the metros, this has been a huge, success story as well. So clearly, the takeaway and delivery segment is here to stay, and I think so is the laundry services, although may not be to that large extent as the food services. But food is something that is, I think, something which is going to be driving the revenue options, and it's in fact become a segment of our set of F&B options. So you have all the restaurants, and then you have the takeaway and delivery, which has got added to that.
So it's so encouraging to hear you all say this.
Right.
Coming during the last 2 years, when you people have upped your philanthropic efforts, you've all thought out of the box, you've gone and extended business in those segments which we had not thought of until then, right? Is testimony to the fact that our industry is up to the task and doing a great job of it, right? And more than anything else, everybody is sensitized. Everybody was worried. You see, earlier they were worried. Now they have their arms rolled up. You know, the other good takeaway is about multitasking. Everybody has got into multitasking. It's no more the case that a front office person is not going to go and help out in housekeeping or vice versa. Things are happening. People are thinking. General management has been top notch. And of course, corporate management has been there to support. They've been giving ideas. And it wouldn't have happened if everybody was not thinking and not receptive. And that is very encouraging. And let me tell you, here I just showed you the box, right, of the gourmet couch, right? So, and so on and so forth, be it Taj, be it Marriott, everybody has gone. And I go places, I meet people. I must tell you, I was at a prayer ceremony recently. Whatever was catered over there was done from a very good branded hotel, right? So people are actually very conscious of who they are interfacing with and what kind of offerings they need to make, what kind of services they need to give. And that is very encouraging. So that augurs well. Anything else that you'd want to say? Any of you? Yeah. Thank you all. It's been a pleasure. And I'm sure the legion of our followers of BW Hotelier will also take home a message from what all you've presented as your case, that we are in good hands. Our industry will roll again. In fact, is already rolling again and will rock. India is on the cusp of something extremely big. If you look around our borders, right, there are entire nations whose only economy is hospitality, travel, and tourism. And we have all that they have to offer into many times. So let's make the most of it. We have the Himalayas up north. We have all the beaches. We have Rajasthan. We have spiritual tourism. We have all kind of tourism. We have it all. So let's make the most of it. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, Saurabh. Thank you, Amit, Avinash, Shumit.
Thank you very much.
Kaustubh, Shantanu. It's been a pleasure being able to share the same screen space with you. We look to see you soon again. Thank you for your time and thank you for being on the BW Hotelier, the GM show. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Namaste to everybody. Thank you.
Thank you.